everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I'm Mary Lou Oleski. I'm the Howard Gilman 44 Executive Director of the Hopkins Center for the Arts. And every year, the HOP team and I get to welcome you to the funnest, most impactful celebration on campus. This is the 63rd Annual Arts Awards. So give yourselves a round of applause. So tonight we celebrate all students engaged in the arts on campus, whether you're a major or a minor, if you explore the arts because of a passion, or you happen to work in an arts job on campus. This evening is for you. Our awards are an opportunity for recognizing outstanding achievement, and actually it's an opportunity for our faculty and staff and all of the community and leadership to say thank you to you for all you give to the arts at Dartmouth. Yeah, did somebody want to clap for that? Because you give a lot to the arts at Dartmouth. Arts awards and grants support projects as well as recognition of achievements, and annually also offer financial support that averages about $150,000 collectively across departments and centers. So let's applaud for that too. This year we have 53 awards that we're giving today across 7 departments. As the arts at Dartmouth continue to grow and diversify, we have, in addition to our arts departments, we have 2 more departments joining us this year. Let's give a round of applause to the English department and creative writing program, as well as computer science department, digital arts, otherwise known as Dolly Lab sometimes. They will be presenting as well, and it's exciting for them to join us, having added arts integration grants a couple of years ago to this award ceremony. We are able to do this thanks to the support of parents and donors, but especially alumni, and you'll be hearing about some alumni and parents throughout the award ceremony who will recognize. These endowments go back many, many years, many generations. You'll see that as we go through these awards. I'm always so moved to see people back in the 50s thinking about you today. So we want to also thank them and their legacy. We have a wonderful reception immediately following. Hear tell it's the best reception on campus, but so stay with us. We also have a wonderful keynote speech that we'll wrap up with from our Roth visiting scholar, who you'll hear more from in a minute. But before we start, it's my sincere pleasure to welcome Associate Dean of Arts and Humanities, Sam Levy, to offer a few words. Dean Levy was appointed as Associate Dean in April 2020, exactly as COVID was taking root, as were all of our plans for the reimagined and expanded Hopkins Center. We say in the business it's all about timing, Sam. But I have to say a sincere thank you as you're wrapping up your deanship and returning to your native Department of Philosophy. You will be missed, but your legacy in the leadership of the Hopkins Center will be lasting. So thank you.
Hi, thanks, Mary Lou. Wonderful to see everyone tonight. I won't be long in my remarks, so you don't need to hear from a philosopher about the arts. However, let me point out a few things. First of all, I'm the dean of the faculty, not the dean of the students, and I do want to make sure we have a moment to say thank you to our wonderful faculty and wonderful staff and the wonderful whole team at the HOP that has made so much of this possible. So thank you everyone. So, the business of the arts, of course, is creativity and imagination. Those enter into everything we do at Dartmouth. It's not only the province of the arts, but it is the central front and center business of the arts. It is the core of our enterprise in this part of the campus. And the things that we ask of students everywhere are to apply their minds and their attention and their imagination, their creative work, their creative focus to all the work they do. But I know that in the arts, we ask much more than that, too. We ask for all of your five senses, and we ask for your heart. And in your expression of your work, we know that you are drawing on your soul. This is not just an intellectual exercise. That is a very rare kind of output and a very rare kind of focus that we ask of you all the time, every day. And your work is inspiring, and it's demanding, and it's vexing. And I know that it's given tremendous amounts of energy and attention from your friends, and requires that from you and of your teachers and of your fellow students here at Dartmouth all across campus. The things that happen on this campus could not happen without the kind of focus and attention we get from the arts. We give forward to every part of this campus out of this district. And I'm so thankful for that, and I'm grateful for it, and I think about it every day. Every kind of investment that we make in the arts pays off everywhere. We can't celebrate every person's work tonight. There are fewer awards than there are incredibly worthy and distinctive pieces of work that have been accomplished this year by the students. But it's one of the things that I want you to take with you. Art has been everywhere, especially while the HOP has been out of house. The Hopkins Center has been everywhere on campus, and we're hoping to get back into our big house and our big home coming this summer. So I can almost taste it. I'm so excited to have everyone back. But for those of you especially who are graduating, this has been a tricky time. You've had several years here where you've been making art in spaces that were not designed for it, and you have been creating those spaces and making everything possible for yourselves and for the rest of your community. So I would like for you to give yourselves a round of applause for that incredible work. One of the great things that we do get to do here is bring artists from across the world, and from time to time we have the opportunity for a year-long residency for an artist. And I'm not going to give a long introduction at this point, but Basil Twist has been here with us all year as the Roth Distinguished Visiting Fellow. And Basil's work has been wonderful, and Basil's, he's a designer and a director and a puppeteer, and you'll find out more about his work coming up. But one of the things that I take away when I think about Basil's work and talking to him over time is that we live in this era of attention-grabbing devices and digital media pinging us at every moment. And there are nice times that you can step back, and the arts can give you some space, something. It's simple and pure and magic and bringing things to life. And I think that's what Basil's sort of stock in trade has been. And that is not something that is unique to being an internationally renowned prize-winning puppeteer. That is something that comes with every artistic effort. And I really want you to know that in these times when there's a lot not to be happy about in the news, many things that are anxious, there's a lot going on, lots of kinds of attention that we wish we didn't have to give. The work that we can do here provides a whole world where we can remember how we can be human together. And the learning that you've done and the talents that you've produced and that you're starting to cultivate, you've really started to cultivate that here, that you'll take with you. That will give back to your community and to your families and to your friends and to your society forever. One of the things I want to encourage you is to think about this a little bit the way I encourage people to think about voting. Cultivate it early and often, and please help us continue to change our world. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sam. And now we're heading into the awards, and we start with the music department represented by Professor Cesar Alvarez.
Hello, everyone. I am going to invite our awardees to come up here and receive your award, and please stay, and then afterwards we will take a photo. I want to award the Eugene Reutemann 1943 Memorial Award to Sylvie Benson, class of 25. There you go. Eugene Reutemann 1943 Memorial Award to Tanaka Chikati. Hello. I'll give you a handshake there. Congrats. The Eugene Reutemann 1943 Memorial Award to Joseph S. Kim, class of 24. And the McDonald Smith Prize to Nathaniel Chen, 25. Congratulations. Here you go. The McDonald Smith Prize to Margaret E. Frazier, class of 25. Was I supposed to ask everyone to come down? There you go. I totally messed that up. This is the agony of being the first. Can everyone actually that got a music prize come and line up, and then I'm gonna call your name? That's how we're gonna do it from now on. So you all got the Oscar kind of moment, but thank you. Yay, there we are, here we are. There we are. The next McDonald Smith Prize is Colby R. Lish, class of 25. The Eric Kunzel, class of 1957 award, Braden A. Baxter, class of 25. The Eric Kunzel, class of 1957 award, Loan Bujanek, class of 25. And the Eric Kunzel, class of 1957 award, Nathaniel Y. Chen, class of 25. The Eric Kunzel, class of 1957 award, Margaret E. Frazier, class of 25. Again, the Eric Kunzel, class of 1957 award, Catherine Liao, class of 25. We have Catherine. Eric Kunzel, class of 1957 award, Emma L. Ratchford, 25. And Beatrice Sears, class of 26, another Kunzel award. She's not here, but we congratulate her. Also, Austin Tracy, class of 26, with the Kunzel award, is not here, but we congratulate. This is the Gerald Tracy Memorial Scholarship Prize for Piano. First prize, Juliana H. Wong, class of 28. Gerald Tracy Memorial Scholarship Prize for Piano. Second prize, Sophia Y. Jiang, class of 28. And Gerald Tracy Memorial Scholarship Prize for Piano, special prize winner for best performance of the mystery piece, Marcus B. Humplick, 27. And now we will take our picture. Somebody here? Oh, there. I am now meant to introduce the chair of the theater department, Dan Kolowitz.
They promised not to embarrass me. Can all the theater students who are winning awards, theater awards and pillar awards, come up front? Right here. Great. Okay. So the first award is the David Burney Award for Excellence in the Theater Arts, Lily Easter. Also the David Burney Award for Luke Gerdeman. The George W. Schoenhut Service Award to Lila Bozek, who I don't believe is here. Also the George Schoenhut Award for Ife Liu. And also for the George Schoenhut Award, Isaac Mullen. The Benjamin and Edna Erwick Prize in the Dramatic Arts, Gwendolyn Ray Rowland. And also for the Benjamin and Edna Erwick Award in the Dramatic Arts, Dolce Cielo Silva. Okay. Sorry, I gotta flip my page here. The Eleanor Frost Playwriting Competition, Eloise Margaret Langen for her play Carnival of Animals. And I believe she is not here as well. And then the Ruth and Loring Dodd Drama Prize for Tailspin by C.J. Tebben. And also winning the Ruth and Loring Dodd Prize for her play Senor con la Guitarra, Dolce Cielo Silva. And then the Rodney W. Alexander Theater Fellowship, Hannah Brooks. Oops. Oh dear. They're a little out of order. There you go. And also the Rodney Alexander Fellowship for Alexander Dale Campbell. And then the the Clifford S. Gurdon 1964 Memorial Award to Lily Easter. And this is, that's wrong. Sorry. That's it. There you go. Thank God they can read. The Susan D. Beauvois Wright Fund to Ife Liu. And also winning the Susan D. Du Bois Wright Fund, Elise Ignacio Oliveira. And finally, also winning the Susan D. Du Bois Wright Fund, Grayson Chiao. And winning the Stanley Wallace Technical Theater Fund, Kevin Malcolm Farrell. And also winning the Stanley Wallace Technical Theater Fund, Matt Jacom Gallagher. And finally, also winning the Stanley Wallace Technical Theater Fund, Elise Ignacio Oliveira. And the Robert H. Nutt 49 Fund, Eloise Margaret Langen. And also winning the Robert Nutt 49 Fund, Jonah Manso. And also winning the Robert Ed Nutt 49 Fund, Dulce Cielo Silva. Again. Seem to have missed one. Hold on. The Warner Bentley, yeah. The Warner Bentley and Henry B. Williams Fellowship Endowment to Lily Easter. And also the Warner Bentley and Henry B. Williams Fellowship Endowment for Eliza Erdrich. And the third winner for the Warner Bentley and Henry B. Williams Fellowship is Matt Jackham Gallagher. We got that one. Is that here? Okay. And then finally, the department has an award that we started in 2018 to recognize the creativity and dedication to dedication-specific students have given to the department throughout the year. These students are the pillar that support and elevate theater at Dartmouth, and this is something that we celebrate and we like to acknowledge. The honor was determined with the input of faculty and staff within the department. And the winners of that were Arlie Celeste Sosa, J.R. Tibbetts, and Amara Jones Myers. And Sarah Grace Mooning Williams. And Maxwell Simba Owino, who I think is not here. And finally, Diaja George. Great. So if you guys can squeeze together for a photograph. Great.
Sorry for trying to shake your hand.
Bye. And I'd like to invite up the Director of Creative Writing, Thomas O'Malley.
Man, that enthusiasm is contagious. Fantastic. Well done, theater. So, all the creative writers who are winning an award, I'd like you all to come up now. Stand up here. Don't be scared. Now we've got to match theater's enthusiasm, all right? So, beginning with the Sidney Cox Memorial Prize. Not yet. Olivia Cow, along family lines. Miguel Monjardim. Scott Sorensen. Now the Academy of American Poets Prize. Have to make sure they're lined up properly. Lauren Mills. Lauren is not here. The Jacobson Lang Award in Poetry, Maeve Kenny. Thank you, Maeve. Okay. Lone Bujanek. And finally, Jacobson Lang Award in Poetry, Brooke Nind. We're new at this. Oh. For the Mecklin Prize, Zoe Russell. Jonas Rosenthal. Michel Moulet. Now for the Grimes Prize. Anne Ree. Stephanie Sova. That was a secret. Okay. And now, Zhuang Tan. Tia Walker. For the Lockwood Prize, Wynne Johnson. Now for the William Spengeman Award in Writing, Ella Grimm. Eloise Margaret Langan. She's winning a lot tonight, and she's not here, but we'll give that to her later. Danku Wheelie Mwaka. Lauren Zhu. The Erskine Caldwell Prize, Paget Shung. And finally, Jiho Lee. And now I have the honor of introducing the Chair and Associate Professor of the Department of Film and Media Studies. Oh, really? Do we have to? Okay. I was so excited. Thank you for reminding me. I don't take pictures well. Now I have the honor of introducing Chair and Associate Professor of the Department of Film and Media Studies, Rupika Risam.
Hello, can all the winners of Film and Media Studies Awards please join us up here? We're going to be here a while. All right, so the Maurice H. Rapp 35 Award for Outstanding Achievement in Film and Media Studies, Griffin Lapham. The James Joseph Kaplan Filmmaker of the Year Award, Josie Harrison. We have 3 wonderful winners for the John P. Wolfenden Awards in Film and Media Studies. First, Natalie Halsey. Gabriel Modisette. And Annabelle Everett. Next, we have the Alexander Lang Memorial Writing Award for the Best Original Screenplay by a Dartmouth undergraduate. In third place, Ariana Silva. In second place, collaborators Gabriel Modisette and Hudson Rogers. and then Best Feature, Hudson Rogers. For Best Pilot Screenplay, third place to Connor Norris. Second place to CJ Tebben. And first place to Zhuang Tan. Best Short Feature, honorable mention to Eloise Margaret Langan and Sophie A. Cohen. Third place to Natalie Halsey. And second place to Griffin Lapham and Kabir Biotra. And Best Short to Lucas Manso. Oh, wait. Oh, I was supposed to come. I thought that was a thumbs up thing. We're done. I'd like to introduce Lori Loeb, Director of Digital Arts, and James Mahoney, Senior Lecturer in Computer Science.
Great. Could we have the Digital Arts Awards winners come down, please? Sure. Yeah. Oh, this is fun. We haven't done this before. We should do this more often, Mary Lou. Okay, so for outstanding achievements in 2D digital art and design, Stephanie Zhu. And for outstanding achievements in 2D digital art and design, Chennai Dilabal. And we also do stuff in 3D. So for outstanding achievement in 3D digital art and design, Gabriel Modisette. And for outstanding achievement in 3D digital art and design, Jaden Halevi, who is not here. He's not here. He's in New York. And outstanding achievement in 3D digital art and design to Peyton Witherspoon Bond. And also for 3D digital art and design, Felipe Pavaranelli. He's not here. Good thing, because I botched his name. Okay, your turn. Let's switch.
For outstanding achievement in interactive digital art, Gemily Robles. For outstanding achievement in interactive digital art, Luke Cargill. Congrats, Luke. For outstanding achievement in interactive digital art, Kadari Chowtori. For outstanding achievement in interactive digital art, Emma Vejcik.
We love this stuff. We don't get to do this. Okay, and now the chair of the Studio Art Department, Enrico Riley.
Okay, I'm actually not the chair. Tricia Tracy is our chair. She's away overseas. Can I have all the studio art students who are receiving awards come to the front, please? Okay, this year we have two students who are winning the Perspectives on Design Award. The first is Margaret Bone. Our second winner is James Isles. James is not here. This year, the W. David Dance 1940 Fine Arts Award goes to three students, Sarah Berman, Lauren Kang, and Hella Snelling. The Robert Reed Prize goes to two students this year, Nishoni Denetsosi Gomez and Roan Wade. The Wolfenden Fine Arts Prize goes to three students this year, Liua Tengan, Magenta Velasquez Sosa, and Davis Whitaker. The Melissa Brown Herlock Hobson 1993 award goes to Helen Chu. And finally, the Class of 1960 Studio Art Curatorial Fellowship Award goes to three students, Angeles Juarez Ruiz, Barry Karaman. I think she's out of the country. And finally, Eric Siegel. We will take our photo. Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce Joshua Price Cole, the Managing Director and Executive Producer for the Hopkins Center.
Would all the Hop Ensemble winners come on down? The Handel Society Chorus Award goes to Cole Seagroves. The Charles S. Fleet 1953 prize for the Glee Club goes to Colby Lish. The Dartmouth Symphony Orchestra Distinguished Service Award goes to Teddy Glover. And now a series of awards for the Cully Concerto Competition. Best Overall Performance, Ava Rosenbaum. In the Brass Percussion Division, second place winner, Max Litka. First place in the Brass Percussion Division, Gabriel Wilkinson. In the String Division, second place, Tucker McSpadden. And first place in the String Division, Tyler Grublich. In the Woodwind Division, second place winner, Francisco Garcia. Congratulations. The first place winner in the Woodwind Division, Andy Lee. The Senior Symphonic Award goes to Margaret Fraser. And the Whiteley Band Spirit Award goes to Kevin Farrell. Oh, let's take a picture. I think it's back to you, David.
Hello again. Can all students who received Arts Integration Awards please join us down here? I see some of you out there. Arts Integration Initiative supports grants that are arts-centered research, incubate new projects that are interdisciplinary, and advance student and faculty mentorships. This is the 4th year that we've given Arts Integration Awards, and they've been funded by the Provost's Office and administered by the Hopkins Center. There were 4 faculty grants as well, but today we celebrate the student projects. We lost some winners? What's going on? Okay, all right. So, okay, so we all settled now? Okay, so for the project Vicarious, Luke Cargill. For the project Living Interpretations, a digital exploration of ambiguity in art, Clara Savo-Siegel. For Under the Moving Skin, e-textile wearables for the performing arts, Ivy Fu. For Hermia Huang, for Cyber Folk Songs for Digital Nomads, a South Ethnography. Hermia's not here. Hayden Miller for Visualizing Vermont Flooding, Mapping the White River with Drone Media. Hayden's not here. And Malik Tarab and Peyton Bond for Drop. I think that's it. And now we line up for the photo. So now I'm going to ask for, I think, all those people who came up before. These are the recipients of the Mark Leibowitz 1977 Memorial Prize, the Christina Porter Award, the Lazarus Family Musical Award, the Robert Dance 77 Arts Initiative, the Davin Polk Fund for the Arts, the Bentley Williams Film Award. Do I need to repeat that? No? Okay, good. Okay. And there's also I don't know that I said the class of 61, but there's also this class of 61 prize if you're here. Okay. The Leibowitz Memorial Prize for Music goes to Braden Baxter. The Leibowitz Prize in Theater goes to Matt Gallagher. Do you teach voice? You definitely get the Spirit Award, Department of Theater. Okay, you can yell for that too. So we have actually a very special prize this year, every year since 2006. It's the Christina Porter Award in the Arts for Achievement in Vocal Music, and we are so honored every year. Thank you so much, Brent Porter. Christina's father makes the trip to be with us. We look forward to visiting with you at the reception, Brent. Thank you so much. This is the 20th anniversary of this prize. And this year, the prize goes to Christopher Smith. Okay. The Lazarus Family Musical Theater Award goes to Braden Baxter. And an additional Lazarus Family Musical Award goes to Lucas Filippone. The Class of 61 Arts Initiative Award is another one of those very special awards that are supported with their presence every year at this award ceremony. I see Pete Blyler from the Class of 61 in the house. Would you like to stand, Pete, and just wave? Thank you so much for being with us. The Class of 61 Arts Initiative Fund goes to Rebecca Abram. Robert Dance 77 Arts Initiative Fund goes to 3 recipients, Braden Miodowski, Hudson Rogers. And Rebecca Abrams, who I think is not with us, but give her a round of applause. The Dave and Polk Award for the Arts goes to Emma Ratchford, 25. Congratulations. Loen Bujenek. Congratulations, Len. Addison Vero. Luke Gerdman. Lila Bozic. Okay. Macintosh Willingham. And we move from the Davenport Fund to the Warner Bentley and Henry B. Williams Fund for Film. And the award goes to Kushala Jaykumar. Zach Podolets. Chelsea Marie Paradiso. Taylor Haber. Travis B. Short. And Malik Tarab. Okay. Okay, we are moving into the last set of awards, which means we're coming to our keynote and celebration. Thank you, Lucy. Actually, where did she go? I want everybody to meet Lucy Bieberman. Lucy's been the Hops Postback Fellow for the last 2 years, and second year in a row that she's run the Arts Awards and done it in an exemplary way. And yes, she deserves that round of applause. And while we're at it, as does our production team in the back. So, will the Hyman Rosenthal Award recipients please come forward? For film and media, I should say that Hyman Rosenthal, something about this award, because this one goes all the way back to 1956. The Hyman Rosenthal Award for Achievement in the Arts was established in 1962, actually, and honors students who have distinguished themselves as passionate visionaries, creative problem solvers, skilled collaborators in service of their various artistic disciplines and creative pursuits. These alums really felt that the arts were at the center of all creative problem solving, and you all have been nominated for this award because you represent that, so very exciting. Thank you. Yes, round of applause. The Arts Administration Award goes to 2 recipients. Ed Kroger. And Bryn Jaffe. Film and Media Studies Hyman Rosenthal Award winner is Sasha Lourdes Agnor. Hyman Rosenthal Music Award goes to Chase Harvey. Studio Art Hyman Rosenthal Award goes to Margaret Bone. Hyman Rosenthal Award for Theater goes to Lily Easter. Ensemble Dance. Hyman Rosenthal Award goes to Gwendolyn Day Rowland. Instrumental Ensemble Award goes to Nathaniel Chen. Ensemble Vocal Award goes to Colby Lish. And the Workshop Award from the Jewelry Studio actually goes to Tay Walmark. So the Hyman Rosenthal Award is important because it has all the attributes that I mentioned earlier. But there's one additional prize that was endowed by the late Louis Sudler. The Sudler Prize is to be awarded to a student each year that has left an indelible mark on Dartmouth through creativity or the performing arts. One would think that they're the same thing, but that's the way they wrote it. The Sudler Prize awardees are tenacious, using their limitless imaginations to create magical interdisciplinary work. With the agreement of Samuel Rosenthal, the Sudler Prize is awarded to a Marcus Hyman Martin Rosenthal, Class of '56 Achievement Awardee. Thank you. This year's Sudler Prize goes to a very particular young man who really has embodied all of those attributes. He's been an accomplished musician. He's won music prizes at the high school level and brought that legacy to Dartmouth, where he's performed in the Dartmouth College Wind Ensemble, the Dartmouth Symphony Orchestra, chamber groups. He was the soloist for a commissioned work called Salsa de Alma, a concerto for oboe and concert band, which was created with visiting composer Nubia Jaime Don Juan as part of our Mexican Repertoire Initiative here at Dartmouth. He's performed twice in Mexico City at UNAM with the Banda Sinfónica. I should also say that he let me know that the commission was also in tribute to his dad, who passed recently. He has given so much to everyone around him and still has found time to be an anthropology major, a biology and music minor, a contributor to the Ojima dance group, and compete nationally in figure skating and triathlon. Nathaniel Chen, congratulations. Should we do one with Nathaniel, too, for the Sudler part? And now it's my great honor to welcome for a few comments and reflections to the podium the amazing Basil Twist. Basil is such an accomplished artist on so many fronts. We have been so fortunate to have him here as our visiting Roth Scholar, and he's shared so much, so generously with us, including having his cell phone number on his front door. So in case you missed him, you could still find him to share in his wisdom. He's such an accomplished director and designer, but known greatly for his world of puppeteering. I'm excited by the projects that we've shared with him while he's been in residency, which have included My Neighbor Totoro, which he helped remount in London, and the upcoming Monkey King in San Francisco Opera. We were also gifted by having his partner Ken Ard with us, who also taught in theater. And of course, we all benefited by wonderful workshops that you shared with us, Basil, and we hope that this is just a beginning of a relationship that's ongoing. I can read all the awards that you have, but I'll just pick a few out, and then it's in your bio. But Basil is a Bessie Award winner. He's a Guggenheim Fellow. He's a MacArthur Fellow. He's a Rome Prize winner. He has received Doris Duke Performing Arts Awards, as well as Creative Capital Awards. He is an unstoppable force of creativity and generosity. Please welcome Basil Twist.
Thank you. Wow. It's overwhelming, all this talent and artistic excellence and passion here at Dartmouth, and all these faces of artists. It's really inspiring. So congratulations to everyone here at Dartmouth who participates in the arts. It's very moving and impressive. So yeah, I'm a puppeteer. That's my main thing. That's really who I am. And then I sometimes get called a director and designer because that's involved. But I'm really a puppeteer. That's who I was as a kid, and I still am today. So thanks, Mary Lou, and thank you, Sam, also for facilitating me being here. And also I want to thank the Roth family for making this possible that I could be here. It's been an extraordinary year for me and Ken to be here. When Mary Lou asked me to speak, I said, oh, of course, because anything for Mary Lou and for Dartmouth has been so generous to me, so whatever. And then I was like, oh no, what do I do? I'm actually not a speaker. Even though I work in performing arts, I'm the kind of behind the scenes kind of guy. And even most of my puppetry doesn't involve any text. So I looked at like, oh, what were other speeches that were given here? And I looked at my friend Taylor Mack's speech last year, which was, I think probably a lot of you saw, or experienced, and was spirited and awesome. And then I also asked, can I see other speeches? And I read Tony Kushner's speech from 1995, which is like amazing, and people should check it out. It's epic. And I thought, oh my God. And one thing I learned is, do not compare yourself to others. It doesn't serve anybody as an artist to do that. And Tony's piece in particular was talking about sort of the artist's role in sort of responding to the world back in 1995. And I've never had work that was particularly, I felt, intentionally responding or speaking to an issue or to the world, but of course, naturally, everything does, because everything is personal. Who you are shows up in your art. So I'm just gonna start by telling you a little bit more of my story when I was around your age, and what it was like for me. I had been a puppeteer, as I mentioned, like as a kid, I was totally into it. It was a little bit in my family, but I didn't think I could really do it. I didn't think you could really pursue that as a career. And at some point in like later part of high school, I sort of put my passion for puppetry away, both because it seems kind of infantile, because people associate puppetry with children, and also it seems kind of suspiciously maybe effeminate that I was playing with dolls. And that was a moment when I was self-conscious about that stuff in high school. And I struggled with what was I gonna do? Where was I gonna go to school? What was I gonna study? And I really struggled with that. I took a gap year after high school. I didn't get into the schools I wanted to. I eventually went to Oberlin very briefly, and then I left. Like I was there barely a semester because something clicked for me. Some sign showed up for me to remind me of who I really am. I'm a puppeteer, and I love that, and I'm good at it. And I should pursue that. So I moved to New York and I started pursuing puppetry. And I was blessed that I met great puppeteers along the way. I met Julie Taymor very early on, like within a week of arriving in New York. And I started just exploring the world of being an artist in New York and working with other artists. And then I had an opportunity to pursue it, to go to school, and I went to a puppetry school in France. I went to this kind of the Hogwarts of puppetry in France, and I was part of an elite group from all around the world who was completely soaked in puppetry and in the most amazing practitioners of the craft. And I also was in France, which was also just like an amazing arts education to be there. I had an amazing experience there, being invested in by an institution that I felt and still feel a responsibility to all that was given me there. At the same time, when I left school, as great as my school was, a school is a school is a school, right? Schools are great, but they're frustrating. You maybe don't agree with your professor. Either they're not teaching what you want. There's something that's not what you want, but what happens is you get the distinctions to know what you want. It sort of starts first with what you don't want. That comes pretty easy for us to say what we don't want. Well, I don't like that, I disagree with that. But what starts to show up is what you want, what you believe in, who you are. And being in community with other people and with faculty and teachers who are masters, you start to find your own voice. And I'm sure that's true for all of you here, that you start to hear yourself, who you are as an artist. That shows up out of the conversation with your school. Even if it's not what your school has been telling you, it shows up for you in that space. And that was a great lesson for me, to have not pursued a traditional teaching or schooling path, and then eventually finding this great place in France, and then realizing how really my own voice was the one that mattered. And I encourage you to keep finding your own voice, that this school only gives you so much. It gives you the sounding boards for you to hear your own voice. Once I left school, I moved back. I moved back to the States. I'm from San Francisco originally, but then I moved back to New York City, and then I had a whole other education that happened for me when I kind of fell in with a different crowd, and I went into the world of queer nightlife and would perform in cabarets and drag shows, and brought my puppetry into a whole other space that really transformed who I am as an artist. So your education never ends. It keeps coming. And part of what I learned too there was there are kind of two ways that I found being an artist has showed up for me. One is where you're just available to go with the flow. You move like water into where opportunities show up for you. And you fall into adventures that you couldn't have even imagined before they show up for you. And when you fall into those adventures, it's amazing when you just sort of go with the flow and let that happen. I could tell you adventure after adventure after adventure of things that have showed up that I couldn't have imagined happen, and that it presented itself and I fell into it. But then there's this other thing. It's not and the opposite of it. It happens in the same way, but there's a way that as an artist, when you're creating your work or creating your life, it's like, and this is hard, I haven't quite found the words, but many people have. Michelangelo talked about there's the statue inside of the marble that you carve out and reveal. It's already there. And my great friend and mentor, Lee Brewer, who was a great theater director, he used to call it, he's like, I got a hit. It's like you got something. It's like the future is speaking to you. The future is telling you, whispering to you, this is it. This is the thing. And then you move with intention and purpose towards it, to create it, to pull that rock away to reveal the sculpture inside, or to move forward to create the weird-ass underwater puppet show that nobody thought they wanted. You move forward totally clearly, and no one can get in your way once you hear that call. And that's another that's really the treasure of being an artist, and what I hope for all of you, that you hear that you hear that inside, that you see the signs, that they speak to you, that time is not linear, that it's all related, that somehow the future and the past are speaking to you at a moment they help guide you, and that it's true only for you. That experience of listening into the future, listening and paying attention, and then acting. That's defined a lot of my career. It's shown up too in my work as I got more and more connected to what my work is, and exploring it and understanding more about puppetry, which as a kid, I was into Sesame Street. And then, of course, as I grow older, I got into the Muppets. But there's something actually really profound about puppetry that we dismiss because we think of it as for children. But it is, as Sam spoke to, it is about bringing and conjuring spirit. It's about manifesting spirit in front of us, manifesting life or spirit in front of us where we know it doesn't exist. But in fact, who cares what we know? It's what we believe. What do we believe? And if we believe that a piece of cloth is alive, it is alive. So spirit is what shows up in puppetry. And there is a way that puppetry sounds like you might be, us puppeteers might be control freaks, and in some ways we are. but actually, what I've seen is the greatest work comes from paying attention and listening to a piece of silk. What does it have to say? What is it offering to me? Listening to a beautifully wooden puppet that you've made, but listening to it. How does it best speak? What does it have to share? So slowing down, paying attention, listening. That's the greatest puppetry that I see, that really expresses the mystery that we all participate in, whether we're artists or not, but that artists in particular participate in. Spirit is present in all the art forms. It's present in film, in the basic flicker of light that we interpret and believe in. It's present in, of course, my theater people, bringing theater and energy to the stage, and of course, also dance. The few who are acknowledged here for dancers, of course, are my favorite. I love dancers. I think dancers are the greatest artists because of what they convey with their body. They put their bodies on the line. And music, of course. Most of my work is inspired by music, not even by text. So music inspires all of us with its spirit. It inspires every bit of this world, music. And of course, writing to be able to articulate and speak. Boy, I wish I could do that even better. But writing is spirit. And of course, the digital arts, which are our newest art, and we're counting on you, our artist, to help grab that and make sure that that remains true to spirit. And not just being used by something else, not just being used by the world, which wants to use it, but to bring your true spirit into it. What else can I say to you? I wrote a few things. I just want to share, I watched this weekend, there's now this documentary out about Pee Wee Herman, who was a great artist. And a friend of mine and I worked with him, and the film is deeply moving, especially the first part about him becoming an artist and what he listened to inside to create that. I highly recommend it. I also want to shout out a great artist, Laurie Anderson, who talks about why does she want to be an artist? So she can be free. She just wants to be free. I mean, it's part of why she calls herself a mixed media artist, because she doesn't want to choose something. But she just wants to be free to express herself, to listen to those hunches, to feel into the world. I love her advice for artists, which is to be loose in what you do. It's funny, I have a very old world tradition that I'm part of, which is puppetry. And there is great mastery and wisdom through all the cultures that have to do with this sort of folk art of puppetry. But it is actually the original interdisciplinary art form. I'm not just a performer, I'm also a visual artist, and I deal with the nexus of things that come together to create spirit in space. I invite you to be loose, as Laurie Anderson recommends. Be loose so that you can explore those things, not just the thing that you've picked today, but in 5 years, in 10 years, it may be something completely different, but connected to it. Stay loose in your art. And I guess when I think about Tony Kushner's speech, which I hope that a few of you might take a moment to read it. It's long. But he's talking about how an artist engages with the world. And I think that what the world needs, and the world needs a lot, and the world needed a lot then, and the world needs a lot now, and the world will always need a lot from artists. But what the world needs, and I'm quoting somebody else too, is we need people who are alive, who come alive. You don't need to look out into the world and see, what does the world need, and I'm going to do that. What you need to do is look what makes you come alive and do that. And that's what the world needs, is people who have come alive. And you who are practicing in the arts have already found the kernel of that. Keep doing it. Persistence pays off. Keep working. Persistence pays off, it really does. And trust your gut. Trust your gut. Listen to that voice inside. That's the one that will connect you with the truth. That's what I have to say to you all. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Basil. Thank you for that wisdom. We adored every word. And if you want to know anything about the weird underwater puppet show, on Thursday, right here in the Low, there'll be an opportunity to see film clips of some of Basil's work and have a conversation more deeply and specifically about his work. I hope you'll all come and join us for that. Thank you again for being here. There's refreshments and party in the lobby. Thank you again. Thank you to the faculty for presenting. Thank you to the production team.